Hey, what's good, everybody? It's your boy, Jolly by Nature, and we are back bringing you our team builder for week 4 of the Blast Burn Radio Community Draft League. We are almost halfway through the regular season, guys. It is really difficult to believe. Your Indianapolis Zolts are currently sitting at 2-1 with a winning record, something we are deeply, deeply appreciative of, but it is only uphill from here, guys. I think our matches are going to get increasingly more difficult until the end of the season, with maybe a couple of dips and valleys, but overall I think that the worst of it is definitely ahead of us. I'm really excited to jump in this week and hopefully pick up another W against a really, really talented team with a really scary opponent. I'm also really excited to use some new and different friends, or some returning friends that we haven't seen in a number of weeks. Boy, look at Arpeggio go, ladies and gentlemen. He is running his little heart out. But yeah, our team building, I think we've done a pretty good job of shaking things up week to week. There is currently only 2 Mon that we haven't brought to a match through the first 3 weeks of the regular season, which I think is pretty solid. And obviously they're both fairly low tier Mon, but they've got value on the team. And spoilers, we are bringing one of those Mon this week, so that's exciting. Our opponent this week is Kerfungle and his Sanibel Salazzles, which is a really, really threatening team. Kerfungle is a good member of the BBR community, longtime friend, and definitely one of the more VGC seasoned folks that we have around. Like, a lot of the people competing in this league are much more singles oriented generally and are kind of pivoting to VGC. Kerfungle, at least, is primarily a VGC competitor who occasionally pivots to singles. So definitely someone who is well aware of what he wanted to do coming in. And spoilers, had a fairly similar draft plan in some ways to what I wanted coming in. Not exactly the same, obviously. We did get some of what we wanted, but responsible for our first big snipe of the entire draft. So looking at the Salazzles, looking at Kerfungle's team, if I can ever switch to it, that'd be helpful. There we go. Oh, hey, thank you for the new follow on Twitch. You can see I haven't had Streamlabs open in a while. So Kerfungle's team consists of GMax Lapras, Tyranitar, that Indeedee female that we wanted pretty badly, the Gardevoir, the Durant, Hitmontop, Exeggutor, Noivern, Salazzle, Cursula, Stoutland, and Emolga. A lot of really big power on this team. Lapras and Tyranitar are both absolutely top tier threats in VGC, both extremely dominating in that kind of strange, like, 60s speed tier where they are fast enough that they're not really great under Trick Room, but they're slow enough that they underspeed like most truly fast things, so they can operate both inside of and outside of Trick Room depending on what your opponent has, whether it's a fast team or a slow team that you're up against. Indeedee female is obviously a huge problem. That's a Mon that we wanted pretty badly on our team. We didn't actually manage to get. We went with the male option instead. And I think that a really solid, like, size spam option on this team in Gardevoir and Exeggutor, you've got your fast and your slow psychic abusers, and not a ton of shared weaknesses between the three of them. Bug is super effective against Exeggutor and Indeedee, but not Gardevoir. Dark is super effective against Exeggutor and Indeedee, but not Gardevoir. And then Ghost is super effective against Gardevoir and Exeggutor, but not Indeedee because it's normal type. So all of those, like, traditional psychic weaknesses have at least some answer within the size spam core, which I think is really solid. Durant is an absolute monster and gives this team a much needed, like, fast mode threat. And hits, I really can't overstate this, guys. That ant hits so fuck off hard. It is stupid with hustle. You got the Hitmontop, which gives a lot of value to this team in the form of Intimidate, in the form of Fake Out, in the form of Coaching, now that we are post Isle of Armor DLC. It also has access to Vacuum Wave to self-activate weakness policy on either the Tyranitar or the Lapras. Is just a big problem overall. We've got Again, the Executor is your Trick Room setter here. There's not a great Trick Room mode on this team. The only thing that is like 30 or below speed is Cursula. But with Executor and Cursula, like you've got enough of a true slow mode here that you're not just a sitting duck against Trick Room teams. And then again, Lapras and Tyranitar obviously can both be huge threats under Trick Room in the appropriate like circumstances. Noivern is here, and Noivern is blistering fast. It outspeeds my entire team, and it's a Tailwind user, so Kerfungle not having like the priority Tailwind that can be so problematic to deal with, but having the next best thing in a base 123 speed with Tailwind. You got Salazzle, who is a secondary fake out abuser, and who gets a lot of really cool tech, including Beat Up, which can be paired with the Cursula with weak armor and weakness policy to just make it actually way faster than Cursula has any right to be otherwise. It's got access to a lot of really cool stuff. Obviously, Corrosion is a really unique ability, although not nearly as useful in doubles as it is in singles. But I mean, even still, it's got like a base 115 special attack stat with Fire and Poison dual stab. That ain't nothing. Salazzle's definitely a mon to watch out for in most circumstances. I don't think particularly good against me, but solid. And then really solid value in the lowest tier picks of this draft. Stoutland gets Sandrush. It's actually like the only Sandrush abuser currently released other than Excadrill, which I know that Kerfungle wanted on this team but didn't manage to scoop quite fast enough. But Stoutland, I think, is a real value pickup there, and then it does give you, like, you can choice band it, give it Sandrush and put it in the sand, and suddenly it's very fast and reasonably strong. Definitely not your, like, ideal weather sweeper, though. And then you got Emolga, which I think Emolga gives really good value, being an electric type who is immune to ground due to flying, and also a flying type that is immune to electric due to its abilities. It has like the Pika clone moves, things like Nuzzle, which can be really, really potent. I don't think it's very good against me. My electric threat is Boltund. I don't think you need to bring Emolga to counter it necessarily, but definitely I think a really solid value in an E tier pick. Or D tier? Yeah, D tier. That's how we lettered those this time. Sorry. Words. Yeah, so this is a really powerful team. I definitely think that the Tyranitar and the Lapras will both come. I think that they are both uniquely good against me in certain circumstances. I definitely think Indeedee female comes. I don't think, again, we've brought our own redirection in Clefable every single week this season. I think the same is going to be largely true of Indeedee female. I don't think there's going to be many, if any, weeks that Kerfungle does not want to bring it. I think we're definitely going to see the Durant. Again, it outspeeds everything on my team, bar Inteleon and Boltund, and just in general just does work in that way. Those four I think are an absolute lock. I think Noivern should come probably with Frisk and Tailwind. Again, I have the Whimsicott, which makes my Tailwind a near lock, but barring like a few specific answers I have to it, like Noivern is almost as reliable at getting Trick Room up, at least against me. So I think that it probably should come here. And then Frisk is always really, really valuable. Telling him what my items are so he doesn't have to find out through trial and error necessarily. So yeah, I think that those five are near certainty, that they're definitely the ones that I would bring. In that sixth slot, I think that a lot of stuff could potentially come here. I don't think that the Psychic Spam option that my opponent has is very good against me personally. So I don't particularly see Gardevoir or Executor coming unless Executor is just coming to set Trick Room, which is possible. I think there's a strong argument to be made for Cursula, if nothing else, to keep Porygon Z honest, and just keep me from clicking Hyper Beam every turn. I don't think my Porygon Z has a fantastic matchup here, but like it's put in huge work the last 2 weeks in a row, and that demands attention. So it is possible that Kerfungle brings Cursula just to keep PZ honest. I think likely the answer here is going to be Hitmontop. My team is largely special over physical, so Intimidate is less valuable. And there's also Psychic Terrain, which can get in the way of Fake Out. So maybe not. Maybe we won't see top, but I think personally of the options, Hitmontop is probably the most valuable. We could also just see Sandrush Stoutland. None of those things would particularly surprise me. So yeah, I think that Lapras, T-Tar, Indeedee, Noivern and Durant are a lock. I think that 6th slot could really realistically flex to be a couple of different things. My money is personally on Hitmontop. I'm guessing it's going to be a self-activation weakness policy scenario. So that's where my mind is at coming into this matchup. Now let's talk about what we're bringing, and we're bringing some interesting stuff, you guys, this week. There is a Mon that we've brought to every match thus far that is not coming, and there's a match that there's a Mon that has not come to a single match this season that is coming. So I think that's pretty exciting. Our first Mon this week is going to be Nyanhausen, our Incineroar, and Incineroar is just so good in this matchup, you guys. And this is the reason I don't expect Psy Spam to come from my opponent. But if it does, then God, Incineroar is going to punish it. We are rocking an Assault Vest Incineroar spread this week with mixed defensive investment, bold natured, and intimidate. And we're rocking a primarily special mixed moveset with Fake Out, Snarl, Burning Jealousy, and U-Turn. And this thing is so good. Obviously, Tyranitar and Durant do not approve of being intimidated. And then Lapras doesn't approve of being snarled. And the great thing is with that base 60 speed and just that little bit of speed investment, we outspeed uninvested Lapras. And it is entirely possible that Kerfungle will not invest speed in his Lapras because I don't have much in those like 60 speed tiers. Like the only thing that you can really speed creep against is my Dragalge, and if Dragalge comes, quite frankly, it's almost always going to be 0 speed, no investment. So I could very easily see a bulky, no speed Lapras coming this week, and if that is the case, then Incineroar will outspeed it and will snarl it. This set with this defensive investment lives a Hydro Pump lives a Max Geyser, I should say, from -1 special attack Lapras in the rain. So even if it outspeeds us, if it goes for, let's say, a Resonance into something else, or Incineroar's healthy, at the end of that turn, we get the Snarl off, we drop its special attack by 1. Now it's in the rain, and it launches a Geyser into Incineroar. Incineroar lives that hit, which is huge. Or we just live it at neutral. So even if that first one does come in, we take the hit, we get the Snarl off, we lower its special attack. Which against Lapras, we are almost always going to be playing the All My Friends Are Dead game, which is where we target into the other thing on the field, let Lapras run out its Dynamax, and then deal with it once its max is over. That's generally the strongest strategy when dealing with Lapras, and it's the one that we're going to be leaning into heavily here. So Snarl is huge there. Burning Jealousy also has the potential to be really huge. We live any one hit from Max T-Tar, and there's a very, very real chance that if T-Tar is on the field, it goes for a Knuckle against my Incineroar, and then if that's the case, if it outspeeds us, goes for Max Knuckle, gets the attack boost, we then Burning Jealousy, and we burn both sides of the field, which is huge. Just in general, Burning Jealousy felt like the play here because it hits both sides of the field, so it can't be redirected. So that means that we can Burning Jealousy into Durant consistently. Even if the NDD is on the other side of the field, which is powerful, frankly. It's also, again, there's not a ton of circumstances, I think, where our opponent is boosting against us, but in the event that they are weakness policy, or again, in the event that like a T-Tar goes for a Knuckle, or a Durant, Durant probably actually will live most Burning Jealousy since it's a spread move, but almost all of Durant's max moves boost its own stats. So Burning Jealousy can be absolutely huge there. Fake Out, obviously less than ideal in a situation where we expect Psychic Terrain to be up some or even most of the time. However, notably, we can Fake Out into Noivern 100% of the time. And if we get a Fake Out off into it, we have a number of ways of dealing with it in one turn and denying the Tailwind that way. And then U-Turn is just here to pivot. Pivoting Incineroar out a lot of the times is going to be beneficial because it's going to let us put him in the back, get him back out, get another Fake Out off, get another Intimidate off. So Incineroar just in a great position here. We ran a number of practice matches, and in all of them, Incineroar was huge. I don't see a single match this week, like a single of our best of 3 that Incineroar does not come to. Like every team mode, Incineroar is a part of. It's just so good. We're also bringing back Staccato the ESCAVALIER this week. So one thing that immediately struck me when I looked at Kerfungle's roster is that a ton of it is weak to bug, and a lot of what isn't weak to bug is weak to steel. Like our dual stab here with our ESCAVALIER is so good against this team, and so we ran with it. Ultimately, we're rocking a minimum speed, brave nature, max attack, max HP, life orb set. We're rocking the overcoat, just on the off chance that we see Executor come and try to sleep powder. I don't think it's likely, but if it does, then it's nice that we're teched to be able to deal with that. Mega Horn Ironhead for dual stab, again, hits almost all of this team. And then close combat is here primarily for the Tyranitar. I considered briefly running Drill Run, both to boost special defense and also to deal with Salazzle. I really don't expect Salazzle to come this week, and if Salazzle does come this week, I think we just have better options to deal with it. So we're just running Protect in the 4th slot here. We're not running very much Protect this week, and I don't love that, but I feel like we're getting really good value out of all of our move slots, and so hopefully that does not come back to bite us. But yeah, ESCAVALIER is a huge win con in this matchup. It just runs through the whole team. It's so good, and I'm feeling really good about our chances if we get a Trick Room up and get ESCAVALIER out and max it under Trick Room. It's going to be in a great position. Notably, really importantly, max Bug lowers special attack for both sides of the opposing side of the field. So if we're in a Lapras situation, and again, we're targeting into the other side, we can just continuously click max Bug and just make that Lapras pointless. Just make it do absolutely nothing until we're ready to kill it, which is super good. We're bringing Dirge the Runerigus back. Had a really, really disappointing week 1 showing. I think we're going to have a much better showing this time around. We're rocking a sassy spread, Wandering Spirit as always with the Focus Sash, max special defense, max HP to kind of get those defenses as mixed as we possibly can. And again, we live basically any hit from T-Tar. Runerigus is particularly valuable in this particular matchup because of its ability Wandering Spirit and how it interacts with the Durant. Because obviously if Durant targets into it, it loses its hustle, which is huge. That is absolutely incredible. If we can manage to cheese away Durant's hustle, we completely neuter it, especially if it happens to be maxed at the time. Then we make our opponent choose between switching it out and losing their Dynamax or keeping it in and being neutered. We're rocking the Focus Sash just to guarantee that no matter what comes into us, we get the Trick Room off. We are on the Trick Room mode. Our intended lead is Incineroar Runerigus. So as long as we correctly anticipate who our opponent's Dynamax threat is and fake out into the other side of the field, we should be in a pretty solid position to get a Trick Room up. The only place where that gets hairy is if our opponent leads Lapras in DD, which I don't think is a particularly strong lead combination from them, if I am being entirely honest. But if they do make that lead, then I think we just have to maybe snarl and swap. I'm not sure honestly what the play is at that point. We'll have to figure that out as we go. But we're rocking Trick Room, we're rocking Will-O-Wisp, which once Trick Room is up, even if we just live on 1, gives us the opportunity, if something like the Tyranitar or the Durant is on the field, just to hurry up and neuter it before Runerigus goes down. We're also rocking Body Press and Poltergeist, which just gives us a couple of options to get some damage off before Rune goes down. But really, Rune's job is just to get Trick Room up. That's it. That's all you got to do, buddy. Get the Trick Room up. I believe in you. You can do it. We're bringing back Aria, our Clefable this week. Aria has come to all 4 matches on the season and is going strong. I don't see that changing anytime soon. We're rocking another max spread this week, max HP, max defense. And there's a lot of those. And you might be thinking, what happened, Jolly? Did you run out of time? Or are you not running calcs? I'm absolutely running calcs. The problem is that Durant is a monster, and we need Babiri Berry Max to live a single max steel spike from Durant, which is rough. It is really, really rough, but that's where we're at. We are running minimum speed relaxed this week because we are running a Trick Room option, and there's a couple of reasons for this, but one of them just being that we have a better time on a Trick Room, which is nice. Unaware with the Babiri Berry, and we're rocking Follow Me, Helping Hand, Mystical Fire, and Brick Break. I love this moveset, you guys. I always play with those last two moves on Clefable, and it almost never matters because I'm almost never clicking anything other than Follow Me or Helping Hand. But like that might not be the case this week. Brick Break is huge against GMax Lapras because it allows us to remove those screens. So if we can just wait out the 3 turns of Lapras's max, we can just Brick Break, boom, screens are gone. And especially, notably, we're min speed, which means we underspeed Lapras. So if we are not in Trick Room, we can just click Brick Break on the 3rd turn of the GMax and know that there's no way that they're going to have screens up the next turn, which is beautiful. Mystical Fire is really, really nice. Obviously, it gives us fire coverage to hit very hard into Durant, even with 0 investment, and that's good. But it also gives us the option to help Incineroar neuter special threats, which most notably is the Lapras, but I mean that also includes things like Indeedee and Noivern, which hit specially and can hit pretty hard if you don't deal with them. We can now both Snarl and Mystical Fire on the same turn and take it -2, which is huge. Again, Clefable is mostly here to click Follow Me and is very good for that, but I think there's some really solid tech here on this Clefable set, and in general it's poised to do really good work this week. We're bringing Legato, our Gigantamax Inteleon, back this week. Legato had a huge week last week, picked up the sweep on game 2, and we're gonna try to keep that rolling. We're rocking that crit Inteleon set again, the Sniper Scope Lens, with max special attack investment. Timid with a lot of speed. This allows us to outspeed 100% of non-scarved Salazzles. Which again, I don't expect Salazzle to come, but there was just no reason to play with that, no reason to take chances. And so we didn't take chances, we just invested the speed to make sure that we outspeed everything bar Noivern. We outspeed everything that's not Noivern if it's not Scarfed or +1 or under Tailwind. And then obviously we can go for our own speed boosts with Max Airstream. We are rocking Snipe Shot, Air Slash, Ice Beam, Focus Energy. And our fast mode this week is primarily a lead. It's to lead with Inteleon, Clefable, Follow Me, and Focus Energy, and then proceed to sweep. And in testing, that was pretty reliable. We do have to watch out for the Hitmontop lead in those circumstances because they can fake out into our Clefable and then target into our Inteleon, which is something we just have to be aware of. Particularly Hitmontop and Tyranitar. Tyranitar is especially bulky enough that we can't one-shot it in the sand, especially if it's Assault Vest T-Tar. So that's just something that we have to be very, very cautious of. Obviously, Snipe Shot is great all the time. It ignores Follow Me, which is huge against any team that has redirection, which this team very, very prominently does. And then GMax Hydro Snipe is a monstrous attack. Air Slash gives us access to Max Airstream, which lets us go fast like Sanic, which is very, very good. Especially since we're not rocking Tailwind this week. We're not bringing Whimsicott. And so being able to boost speed is important. Ideally, we either get Legato out. Ideally, one of two things happens. Either we get Legato out, and Noivern does not go for Tailwind if Noivern is leading, or Noivern and Incineroar come out about the same time. We can get a fake out off into the Noivern. Words and things are hard. I don't know why that was so hard to spit out of my mouth. That's something that we were able to pull off a couple of times in practice, and it felt really, really nice. But just in general, like, we want to get some airstreams going so that at least one airstream if Noivern does not lead, so that if Noivern is in the back, we outspeed it when it comes out, and we bop it with Max Hailstorm. And Max Hailstorm is really important here because it allows us to reset the sand, which makes T-Tar much less difficult to deal with for our very specially offensive team. But yeah, Inteleon's really, really strong in this matchup. There's just not a lot that really deals with it. We just have to protect it is really the problem. And we're going to do our best to make that happen. The last mod that we're bringing this week is Arpeggio the Gallade is coming for the very first time. And we're bringing a choice item for the first time on the season as well. We're rocking Choice Scarfed Gallade. Adamant with a lot of speed investment. This speed investment with the Scarf allows us to outspeed base max Noivern. which is very good because we're rocking Ice Punch so that we can do a murder to base max Noivern. In general, we just needed something that could hit hard and go fast. Fighting, again, as we mentioned previously, is pretty good against this team overall, and is especially good against T-Tar and Lapras, which are like the big threats. And so close combat Glade does work there. It also hits Durant really, really hard. It's a neutral hit against Durant. We're rocking close combat Knockoff, which I'm not gonna lie, primarily we went with Knockoff because I didn't want to go X-Scissor and have half my team rocking Bug coverage, just in case I was wrong about what he brings, and Bug's not so good this week. But Knockoff is always handy for removing items. If we find that there is a particularly troublesome item that my opponent seems to be fond of bringing, we can always knock it off. Like in a perfect world, if my opponent seems prone to leading Lapras Hitmontop, we can lead Incineroar and Glade and fake out the Hitmontop and knock off the Lapras, get rid of its weakness policy. I think that would be nearly ideal. And then we're rocking Ice Punch so that we can outspeed and murderate the Noivern, which is a trick that will probably only work once, but if we can get it off once, that would be really great. And then we're rocking Trick, which can be really, really potent to scarf something that does not want to be scarfed, notably that Indeedee female, I think is the biggest offender there. But there are some other things I think that we could potentially disrupt with a Choice Scarf. I think Glade's really, really good here. I definitely, I considered a number of things in this slot. I actually considered Choice Specs Porygon Z for a while, just to be able to come out and click Specs Tri Attack and not have to be like a max threat. But just being able to outspeed the field, particularly outspeed that Noivern, which outspeeds my team naturally, and one-shot remove it, is just really, really valuable here. So hopefully that works out as well in practice as it does on paper. But yeah, that's the team, guys. Hopefully we can pull this one off, and we will be sitting at 3-1 at the end of this match. I think that would be ideal, as we're going into a really tough stretch down the road, and coming in with a better like win-loss percentage, I think is definitely going to be beneficial for you boys. But wish us luck. Cheer us on, and we will be back tomorrow bringing you that good battle match footage. But all right, guys, that is going to be it for me today. Thank you so much for coming and hanging out. As always,